Ba 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 ba. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, the podcast where Matt and Todd go see a movie at our local Regal cinema theaters, and we talk about it and our lives and our feelings right after the movie from the parking lot. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, here to talk with you about my life and my feelings. And as Todd has alluded to with his orchestral intro, we are reviewing Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. So this is a big, epic film full of highs and lows and twists and turns. I struggle to summarize or give you an intro without spoilers, but I will do that. This movie picks up pretty much right after the last movie. It features all the same characters, Ren and Kylo and
Ray,
Poe, and I meant Ray.
Yeah.
I said Ren. Gosh, off to a bad start. I was like, Kylo Ren, no.
All right, recover. Strong finish.
Sorry, yes. Poe and everybody who was in the last one who didn't die is in this one. And some people who did die, or I don't know. I won't spoil that. I don't even know if that's true. So the big conflict in this movie is that Kylo Ren has taken basically control over the dictatorship government of the galaxy, his First Order. We see, I will spoil this one thing and say we see a reappearance of the Knights of Ren from 2 movies ago, which are his sort of inner circle followers. And they're pitted against the resistance, and Rey is on a quest to kind of figure out what's going on in her Jedi life. Mm-hmm. And there's a big baddie who appears, who I will not name, who sort of becomes the focal point of the movie in the end. But I won't tell you who it is.
They're in the trailer.
They're in the trailer.
If you wanted to, you don't have to.
I'm not going to.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
I feel like, yes, if you've seen the trailer, but if you're going in trailer free,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
you know,
There are those people out there.
I won't
All right.
spoil it for you.
I will strike that person from my review too.
Excellent. So that's it. You know, what happens at the end, you can probably guess. It's a Star Wars film, and it's the conclusion of this saga of 9 movies plus other random side stories that have been made into movies. And wow, it's a big one.
Yeah.
Big epic. What'd you think, Todd?
All right, so I'm gonna crap on the movie first before I build it back up.
Okay.
So, this movie is filled with plot. Way too much story is attempted to fit into this third movie, and it suffers from script rewrites. It suffers from directors. The famous, J.J. Abrams started the trilogy, and then they gave it to Rian Johnson, and then Rian Johnson was like, let's get away from all the Star Wars lore and do our own thing. And then Star Wars fans were very unhappy, and then they brought JJ back, and it's like, let's bring it all back into the lore, and let's have all the people that you know and love still be around. So I think the movie suffers a lot from that. I think JJ Abrams had too much on his plate. I think he had an impossible task. I think people will love and hate this movie. I think it's going to be strongly both. I don't think it's a great script. I don't think it's a solid story. It's a story tied together by spectacle. It is very high intense scenes strung together with a loose kind of story, and things just happen for no reason, and you're not it's either like you're being crammed with exposition or things just happen and you're supposed to just kind of take it. Like it's either like highly explained or not explained. So it's kind of just, as far as that goes, it's all over the place. Like, so as like a movie, that kind of hits it and brings it down for me. Now I'm going to stop crapping on it. This movie is like I said, a spectacle. It is just a fierce vision, like, and it is like beautifully shot. There are just these huge, sweeping, beautiful scenes in the movie that are incredible, like incredible special effects. I think it's really well acted, like really, really well acted. There are some parts where that kind of falls apart, but that's, I think, script, not acting. Maybe a little direction by JJ, but I don't know him personally. So, but it is just like some of these scenes in this movie are just unforgettable. You'll never forget them. They are burned in your mind with how good they look. And I'm not sure if it's cheating or cheap to say that it's like really well composed, because they kind of use all the same music. But I kind of feel like composing a movie is like when to use that music and how to use that music, and they do it extremely well. There's so much heart in this movie. Like, I think JJ really wanted to reward Star Wars fans. This movie is incredibly reminiscent of Return of the Jedi. So if you like Return of the Jedi, I think you will love this movie. And without being able to like get into spoilers and truly talk about the specifics, I think I personally think that there's a satisfying end to the characters that we're introduced to. I think Kylo Ren has a satisfying end. I think I was most intrigued by his kind of story through this movie. I was really enthralled with his character this movie. I think Rey has a satisfying end. I think everyone kind of comes into their own and has a satisfying end. So I think JJ had an impossible task, and he did the best he could. And, you know, it's definitely things to pick apart. But in general, like, you will walk out of this movie being like, wow, holy crap, that was crazy. So, yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it, because I can't get into more of it without ruining it.
Well, you mentioned Return of the Jedi, which is one of my favorite movies.
True.
So I agree with you. It was very reminiscent of Return of the Jedi, which I loved. And I agree with almost everything you said. I think this movie really packed a lot in. I thought it was a little slow to start. But as someone who has been around for all these movies, and the first one I saw in theater was Return of the Jedi, which I loved. And
I hear it's one of your favorite movies.
I heard that somewhere. And I have to say, the throwbacks to the other movies that are in this movie were great for me as a Star Wars fan. I loved it. I don't care if it was cheesy in some instances, and I think it was maybe a little in some instances, but I didn't care. This was the last hurrah for this saga of 9 movies, and you gotta have some of that in there. So I agree, Todd. It was a beautiful film, beautifully cinematography-ized. That's a word, right?
It is now.
And yeah, well acted. Maybe I felt like the script was kind of a classic Star Wars script.
Sure.
Which I'm sure is what the desire was from J.J. Abrams as he made this film, was to be totally Star Wars. Yeah, I really liked it. It's hard for me to take off my Star Wars fan hat. I know there's Star Wars fans out there who will hate it and hate a lot of Star Wars stuff, but that's not my category, and I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I thought, and when Todd says the end of different character lines, we're not saying whether they died or not.
No, yeah,
we're
no.
just
I
saying
just think, satisfying conclusion to their
story arc,
Yeah.
right?
Sorry if I was not clear about that.
I just didn't want people to think that everyone dies at the end. But no, it's just the
Surprise!
the story arc of different characters. We believe, from what we know now, that these characters' story arc is ending in this movie.
Sure.
Now, there could be follow-on movies that could prove us wrong, but really satisfying ending to the story arc for many of our familiar characters, old and new. So
Yeah, you know how it really left me? It left me wondering if J.J. Abrams did all 3 movies, what would we have? Like if there wasn't the break in the middle of Out of the Norm,
yeah,
like what that story would have been. What could have been? Who knows?
yeah.
So I think it's only fair to be how many lightsabers would you get this movie?
So what we always do here is we give our gut reactions to the movie shortly after seeing it. And probably this changes as the days go by, but right now I'm giving it 4.7 lightsabers.
Whoa!
That
is high.
I really liked it. I really thought it was good.
Is that the highest you've ever given?
It may be.
Is that the highest rated period?
I'm not sure. I keep thinking I need to go back and make a spreadsheet of all our ratings so that we can tell when someone asks me, which they inevitably do when they hear about the podcast, well, what's the best one that you've seen? And I'm like, I think maybe this one. But
Yeah. I think definitely Parasite was the highest rated movie between us, but I can't remember specifically. My gut tells me a 4.8 was in there.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I say 4.7. Really liked it. My gut is very happy afterwards, and not much to nitpick about this one, at least current feelings.
Sure.
How about you, Todd?
Well, spoiler alert, I've seen the movie before. I saw it at the Air and Space Museum when it came out last Thursday. So I've had a week to think about it. And I think that impacts my rating a little bit. I still think, you know what, I'm still going to go high. Like, I think it's one of those, like, I compare it to Avengers Endgame in the sense of, like, there are certain things that absolutely you can nitpick about the movie. You can tear it apart in different areas, and you can really tear it down. But as far as a spectacle goes, like, as far as, like, the overall encompassing what story had to be told, what needed to be accomplished, and overall, like, the just bigness of the movie, it's like, I feel like there's so much room to give it a high rating because it could have not hit on those points, but it did. So this movie did hit on those points. It could have not, it could have been not so great CG, or it could have been not so great, like, big, crazy shots and stuff like that. But they went for it. Like, and I feel like I got to reward that. They really went for it. So as of now, a week later, not gut reaction, but a week later, I'm still going to give it a 4. Nice, solid 4. I think, like we've both said, I think Star Wars fans will love it. I know, like, I have a friend who's just the biggest Star Wars fan I know. That's not you, and he really loved it. And in general, I was, like, happy for him. I was like, good. I want Star Wars fans to be happy with this because, man, were they not with the last one. So, yeah, I think it's hard for me to, like, imagine someone walking out of this movie and being crushed or disappointed or mad or whatever. It's just so big. Like, it's just so crazy spectacle big.
It's interesting that you say that because I felt like the same way, but just now in the lobby as we were walking out, I heard somebody say, well, it wasn't the worst movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
It's not even in competition for the worst movie.
Yeah,
jerk.
Absolutely. We've definitely seen a lot worse movies in this podcast. So.
We have.
Yeah.
So, one last thing I'll say before we sign off. I really feel like the best things about this movie were it was totally Star Wars and we tied up all the loose ends. So, that's it for Matt and Todd Go to the Movies and our review of Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. And please continue to listen to us and reach out to us in unknown ways. We love to hear from you.
Mostly word of mouth.
Mostly word of mouth, yes. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening.
Da 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 da.